Hi, welcome back to the channel. We're gonna do something a little bit different today. I've decided to hop on the Reacts video bandwagon. Let's see how this goes. The first one I have today, we have Millennial Money living on $55,000 a year in Los Angeles. I picked this one to start with. It's kind of similar situation as I'm in, so I thought it'd be cool to see the different experiences and how other people are managing to live in LA on a budget. So let's get into it.
It's really embarrassing to say, but if it weren't for the Kardashians, I don't think I would have aspired to live in Los Angeles. My name is Madeleine Parkinson. I'm 22 years old. I live in Los Angeles, California, and I make $55,000 a year. I was born in Australia, and I always knew that I wanted to work in entertainment, on set or post-production, and so I decided that I wanted to come to America for college and to follow my dream. I live comfortably. I don't have to worry about my bills. I'm never like, am I going to be able to pay rent?
Pretty awesome she was able to get a job right out of school, especially now. I think making this video now in mid 2020 and 2018, we're going to see a lot of differences between what the job market was like, especially for recent college grads. So if you graduated before this year, we're really lucky being able to pick up a job and move somewhere that you've always wanted to. I know now a lot of companies have stopped hiring or they have hiring freezes. It's really hard to start a new job when you have to get in there remote and you can't see anyone on your team.
I track everything. I track things on apps, I track things on paper, I have like a budget binder that I use.
For me as well, moving out of college and kind of living by yourself for the first time, it's really important to look at exactly what you're spending your money on. Back when, maybe you're in school or still living at home, you don't really look at those types of things. So when you first make that transition from kind of that assisted living to really being on your own for the first time, it's really important to kind of take a look at how much you're getting in, how much you're spending. And here with the rent, $1,200, it's not too bad in LA. And it says she's sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with some roommates. So that's also definitely a great way to cut down on your rent expenses, which from what I've seen out of these videos is usually the largest slice of this pie that people are spending their money on nowadays is the rent. But in LA, it really depends on where you are within the city. There can be areas that are a little bit cheaper, but other places near the beach, more in downtown, can definitely be a lot more expensive and hard to afford if you don't have anyone to share that money with.
Something that
And to round the rest of this out, $730 in savings, that's awesome to see them making a conscious effort to save. That's, seeing that be the second largest expense out of rent is awesome. Savings is pretty much just paying yourself for later. You're $425 for food. I'd say it's average or maybe a little bit more than average. This definitely is going to include some eating out. Groceries alone would probably only run you $100, $200 max. But $425 is not insane. I've seen higher. And insurance, $335. I really love when they break down the insurance part in these videos because it's something that a lot of people don't really think about and is overlooked. But we see here it's almost her 4th largest expense. Insurance consists of health, car, and renter's insurance. So if you're off of your either college insurance plan or your parents' plan, living by yourself for the first time, the health insurance and car insurance especially is going to run you a couple $100s a month. Renter's insurance, you can probably find that for $10, $20 a month, not as much. But even though this number is pretty high, definitely do not skimp out on the insurance part. It's very important, especially if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of assets. One bad accident or one bad surgery or health incident can really put you in a lot of debt. Miscellaneous, $290, donations, subscriptions, dog, and self-care. Once again, might be a little bit on the higher side, but with a dog, there's more costs associated with that, and also subscriptions. I'm assuming they're throwing in Netflix, Spotify, things. But this, I feel like if you are living with people in the same apartment, you should be able to split a good chunk of that Netflix, Spotify at least with your other roommates. So that's another perk of living with roommates, more people to split expenses with. Utilities, $150. That seems kind of high. It says it's her share for a 2-bedroom apartment. I've seen some numbers where people are only spending $150 to $200 in utilities just by themselves. So this could be a little high, but once again, utilities is one of those things that you do have to start caring about once you move out into your own place. Freelance business, $50. I think it mentioned that she was doing some freelance editing on the side, so $50 a month isn't that bad. And I'm assuming she does have Adobe or After Effects or some other editing software to be able to edit. So $20 a month after that's not too bad.
Spend money on every single month is diet soda. I probably go through a 12-pack a day. My grocery budget used to be a lot higher because I was buying real Diet Coke. So then I found the off-brand, and I was like, glad I can continue this addiction.
Wow, that's crazy. That's a lot of soda. I mean, I personally don't drink any soda. It does save you a lot of money if you're not going out and buying extra drinks, coffees, boba, smoothies, teas, things like that. But wow, the amount that she was spending before cutting down to the generic is crazy. But even after that, $50 a month on soda, that's what, $600 in a year? But you know, we all have our kind of guilty pleasures, shopping, eating out. I guess for her it's soda. But one thing I would say is if you're buying that much soda, look into getting it in bulk. Maybe a Smart & Final, or if you have access to Costco, or even at this much, I don't know if you could just buy a soda machine for your own apartment or just buy directly from some wholesalers. Might be able to cut down a lot on that, but we're seeing where a big slice of that food budget's going towards every month.
The biggest expense over the last year was my lawyer fees. I knew that this was coming up and I knew that I was going to be responsible for it. Whatever I was saving, whenever I put it in a savings account, I just knew that that was going for the lawyer fees, going for the lawyer fees.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna put a large dent. If you have outside personal things that you have to deal with by yourself, especially paying for lawyers and immigration fees aren't cheap. And also the other part, if you live away from your family, obviously you want to be able to go visit them probably multiple times a year on breaks and holidays. That's going to be a hefty expense as well. But two things I have here: a lot of companies offer group legal plans to their employees as a benefit. You pay some money every month and you have access to certain lawyers and law firms within a specified network. If your company offers this, that's definitely something you can check out just to be able to have access to a lawyer whenever you need it. I'm probably paying a couple $100s a year for access to lawyers, and this is kind of like insurance, right? If you just need it once, it's gonna be worth it. And with the flights, $2,000 is a lot. I'm assuming this is gonna be for multiple trips. You know, we don't know if she said that her family was helping her to pay for it, but if you live far from your family and they're willing to help chip in for visits, or if they come to visit you, that would also definitely help you save a lot of money.
Even though it's so expensive and a lot of money, I would rather be here than anywhere else right now, just because I want to be an editor and I want to be at a big studio. This is the place to be.
I think it's great that she's thinking about all the expenses that she has to deal with rather than just taking up loans or personal lines of credit with the bank. I would say this is responsible financial planning, especially from a younger person. Sometimes we can just try to brush things off to the side or just pay for it later with a loan or maxing out your credit cards. She understands that this is kind of the cost that she has to pay to live here, and I really congratulate and applaud her for that.
This year, it was my first time ever doing taxes. Everyone was just like, use TurboTax, it's so easy. And so I went on TurboTax and I put in my information, and it was just like this big red page of, we do not support non-American residents. And I was like, damn. So I had to do it old school. Doing freelance as well, that's a totally different game. You have to file 1099s and things like that. If you mess up your taxes and you are on a visa, that is very bad. Like,
so it's unfortunate that she's not able to save some more money by using some of the free options out there. But for most people just starting out with a job, and if you're not owning any businesses or doing any investments, the free version should work out pretty easily for most people.
you can get in big trouble, you get deported, and so I just wanted to like give the government my money. I'm like, take what you need.
Yeah, that's definitely couldn't be an issue, especially for someone in her situation. But I also would say if you do have taxes that are a little bit more complicated, you can also seek out accountants to help you out there. There are a lot of different programs out there. I know that some larger cities have groups of accountants that will actually help out people with lower income and do their taxes for free. So if you are in a difficult tax situation, doing it yourself might not be the best option. If you own businesses or have investments, sometimes a great investment might just be going out there and getting an accountant. They might actually be able to save you more money and to cause you less pain, headache, and trouble with the IRS later than the amount of money that you're paying them to prepare your taxes.
If you have a credit score in Australia, that does not convert to the US. I went in and I got my credit card and the limit was like $150.
Once again, what I'm seeing from her is being very responsible, not overspending. And yeah, if you're starting off with no credit at all, it's going to take a while for you to be eligible and be approved for more and more credit cards and to have more credits. So some advice for beginners, I would say get one as soon as you can, even if you don't plan on using it. You can have your parents help you out right when you turn 18. So by the time you leave college or in your early 20s, you have a couple years of credit history built up. But if you can't, this is also a great way to really keep those bills close to you and, like she said, pay them off before it's actually due so you're not running up a crazy balance. If you only have a couple $100s in limit, it's very easy to overspend and to be hit with either chargebacks or high interest accumulation on those balances. So really good for her once again on managing the credit cards.
I am living the debt-free life. I'm definitely in a privileged position where I didn't have to worry about student loans. My parents paid for my college. I feel like I should be putting more into my 401k. That's my next goal.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome to be in a position where you're coming out of school without student debt. Everyone always hears a ton of talk about student debt crisis and the amount of debt that students are leaving school with. But if you're able to get some help from others or to work through school and come out with little to no debt, you're really setting yourself up in a great position. Going back earlier on her savings slice of that pie chart, I'm guessing that if she did have debt, that slice would either be gone or very small. Most of her savings would be put towards paying off those loans or paying off debt. So she was able to get out of school without debt, and now all her savings is just building up equity for herself.
To try and reduce my expenses somehow, so where I can bump that up. I'm really interested in the FIRE movement. Early retirement gets a bad rep because that implies that you
just talked about savings and mentioning the 401k is great, and it's awesome that her company provides a match. If you're just graduating into your first job and don't really know how to save up money yet, the easiest thing you can do is to just set up those automatic contributions and max out any employer matches that you can. It's pretty much free money. They're going to match a certain percentage or dollar amount of money that you save. So it's encouraging you to save and also just giving you free money for saving.
You don't like your job, but I would love the financial independence to be more picky about the projects that I work on.
Once again, that's awesome. I think in some ways a lot of us would agree with that actually. It can be seen as not liking your job and wanting to retire or to move on. But also, if you think about it, if we go to college, you graduate in your early 20s, you don't retire till 65, and that age might be pushed further and further as the millennial and younger generations move on. So that's a good 40 to 50 years of your life spent working. And if you love your job, that's awesome. If you don't, it will suck. But I think it would definitely be ideal if you don't have to work until you're 65. We only get one lifetime, and a life spent working might not appeal to all of us. If you can save up more money when you're younger and afford to be more flexible later on in your life, but like she said, that's something that you have to plan for. You can't just decide one day when you're 55 that you want to retire in 2 years. If you don't have the money, you can't. This is something you have to plan out in your early 20s as soon as you get a job, to build up those savings to be able to have that option when you're older.
Now,
I know a lot of people would say, hopefully she bought a used car.
I don't have this big looming thing that I'm gonna have to pay for anymore, and so I don't really know what I'm saving for.
$15,000 in a high yield savings account just a couple years after graduation in your first job, that's awesome. Being able to have that emergency savings, even if you don't know what you're saving up for, that's fine. You'd rather have that money saved up than not. Just because you don't know what you're saving for doesn't mean you shouldn't save. I mentioned earlier, retirement's a great reason to start saving. I'd say second on that list is building up your emergency fund. And third, just save up extra money. So if you do want to splurge or spend some money on a nice vacation or go out for a nice dinner, you have that money and it's not something that will stress you out.
My boyfriend and I, sure, one day we'd love to get married, but weddings are really expensive. And I feel like I'm a broken record, but like once we get married, it's like, well, then you gotta pay a lawyer for a green card.
She's so forward looking here that she's already thinking about saving up for her wedding. That's crazy.
I would love to go back home for Christmas. That's just a big financial decision to make. I used to be an impulse shopper where I would buy the makeup because it was shiny and American and new. Same with food, like going to an American grocery store, I would buy all these snacks because I saw them in movies. I wasted a lot of money trying to become American.
I guess some people might think it's weird that people are going out of their way just to buy American things, but I was studying abroad in London, and man, I spent more than I would like to admit on English snacks. It's just something about other cultures, and something that, especially who grew up outside the States and really into film and media, how that's really attractive. And we're not going to knock somebody for following their dream and finally making it over to America and living out the life that she wants to.
I think I'm a lot better now at not spending money on those things to impress other people or make myself feel better. But I think that overall, I generally stick to my budget. I'm saving. I think I've got a good start.
Yeah, great summary. Wraps everything all up. Something that we can all learn from. Setting aside a budget, planning out your expenses. And we all have things that we like to spend a little more on, whether it be fashion or food or technology. Something that we all want to, and it's really hard unless you're living really, really frugally to cut those out. I would just say, coming out of this, evaluate your expenses and really look at what you're spending your money on. Some parts might surprise you, and you might be able to find some savings like she was able to in the diet sodas. She was still able to continue having that, but saving a third of the cost. So this was my first Broke Millennial reacts to millennial money. I thought it was interesting. I really like this series because it gives you a sense of what other people are doing. And if you're not doing some of these things, other people out there may be doing something that you want to learn from. Saving your money, budgeting your money. If you liked the video, give this a like. Let me know what you thought. I think I'm going to keep on doing these to provide some perspective from a broke millennial myself on things that I'm doing, and me reacting to other people as well. But let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.